Now, we're starting with problem number 55, which I'm going to write up here. It takes, this is number 55. I beg your indulgence on this. I have to write the question on the board so that those who view it will have it. Okay. And also, that business about 30 billion gallons, that's old data. I don't know what the current annual demand is. It could be different. But this isn't it. This problem, what is this question about? It's what? Well, yeah, it's about energy, but what type of skill is it going to be testing?
Stoichiometry.
Well, yeah. Well, what more? What? It's unit conversion, factor label method. This is a factor label problem. So that's the skill you want to focus on. And with factor label, what you want to look at, you want to read the problem, and you got to look what it's asking. So it's where we're going to take this. That's going to be where we want to go with it, and we want to take the relevant information. So we go with what we know on the left-hand side, and we end up on the right-hand side where we belong, where we want to go. And so the question is asking, where do I want to land with this ultimately? The answer is going to be in acres. Okay? Now this is also a relevant question as far as energy is concerned, just as a sidebar. If we were going to contemplate actually growing our fuel, and the answer will reflect that. there are certain practical considerations which you are all more than capable of carrying out. This simple calculation will reveal, yeah, we can do that, but then we're going to run out of, we're going to have a bit of a problem. What's the problem going to be? What?
Won't be enough land.
What else do we have to do? Have to what? What other activity do we need for our sustained existence? Food. I was illustrating the point with the donut. Yeah, if we were going to really seriously contemplate this option, it comes down to we'll all have to go on a crash diet because our demands for fuel exceed the ability of our farmable lands. We could satisfy it, but we wouldn't be able to eat. And that's a big problem. Doesn't mean there aren't other solutions. And we won't, I'm not here to discuss that. That's another topic and something we can discuss individually. But now let's get back to the individual problem. So where do I want, what would be a good starting point for this one?
Gallons.
Yeah, let's start with the gallons on the left-hand side. So 3.0 times 10 to the 10th gallons. Now, where do I want to go from gallons? Yeah, that looks like a pretty good conversion. So I'm going to want to go from gallons to pounds of soybeans. So what goes on top? What?
The soybeans.
What? The pounds. So I'm going to go, what number?
41.
For every
Gallon.
one. And when you go for a written problem, you want to include all the units. So my logic is easily tracked. It's self-evident, okay? So now I'm in pounds. Where do I want to go from pounds? Okay. And that would be, what goes on top again?
1 bushel.
So I got, what goes on top again? 1 bushel. And what goes on the bottom?
60 pounds.
Okay. Now, I'm in bushels. Where do I want to go from there?
Acres.
Acres. Okay. And so, what's going to go on top?
1 acre.
And what goes on the bottom?
38.1 bushels.
What?
38.1 bushels.
And now I'm in acres. Oh, yeah, I guess that's all I needed, isn't it? Does that give me the answer? Oh, that was easier than I thought. Okay, now let's get to the calculation part. How do we handle something like this without a gizmo? Well, I'm going to do the following. We're going to get, I'm going to go give it an approximate, because we're going to use some of the numbers here to simplify this. Okay. First of all, 3 divided by 3 and 6. Can that be simplified? Okay. So that means this is going to be what?
20.
Yeah, 20. Okay. So I got 20 here. I'm going to divide by, but now let's look at 41 divided by 20. What's that give me? Pretty close to 2, isn't it? Okay. So that's going to be 2. So now we've simplified this from dividing by 20 to now we're just multiplying by 2. We've eliminated this, this, and this. And we're just going to multiply by 2 for the results, and it's going to be 2 divided by 38.1, which is going to be, again, we can work on a piece of scratch paper, or I can also look at this. I can write that as, this is close to what number? 40. Okay, which is going to be 4 times 10 to the 1. Okay? So basically, I'd reduce this down to a 2 divided by 4 times 10 to the 1. See how that worked? And what's 2 divided by 4? Yeah, 2 divided by 4 is, what's another word for it? 1 1/5. I like to use that pronunciation. 1/5. 1/5. So that's about 1/2. So all of this reduces down to 1/2, and now all I got to deal with is the power of 10 here and here. What do the rules? So I'm going to have, it's going to be around 1/2 times 10 to the, what do the rules of the exponents have me do when I divide? I subtract. So it's going to be 1/2 times 10 to the what? 10 to the 9 equals 0.5 times 10 to the 9 acres. I'm sorry, left out the units. And what do I do now? I'm going to want to move the decimal point over 1 to the right. So what do I do to the exponent? It's going to be what? 5.0 times 10 to the what? What? 8. So that turns out to be about 500 million acres. Okay? And that would be, this would be the answer that I would expect in this type of problem. So you can handle it with your brain. Okay? And the scientific notation comes to your advantage, and you want to do reasonable approximations when the time arises. And it turns out that the calculation gives us, if we were to go through and find the exact number, is really close enough. And by the way, just for your information, this turns out to be about, I think there's about 750,000 or 750 million acres farmable. So this is 2/3 of our farmable land, just for the diesel alone. And that's not taking into account gas, which reflects the practicality. One of the options that has been floated, no pun intended, is we got millions and millions of acres of 3-dimensional acres out there on the ocean. And we can grow algae. And by the way, it grows about 2 feet a day, Microcystis peripheral, right off our coast. So that is one of the possible things that's being explored for a fuel option. But that's immaterial. This is how this question is to be handled. That's question number 55. Okay?